And welcome back to the Post Show, Episode 9. This week we kick off with Grant's review of Jujutsu Kaisen, now that he's wrapped up the first season. I talk about my experience watching Spirited Away as my first ever Studio Ghibli movie, which then spawns a whole conversation about watching classic movies a little bit late. And speaking of classic stuff, Grant goes through his experience so far with Neon Genesis Evangelion. There's some brief news on Cowboy Bebop and the live TV show that's being set up for it. We briefly talk about the America the Motion Picture, which looks like a Netflix series starring Channing Tatum. Looks pretty good. Then we get real deep on Bo Burnham's most recent special, Inside. That is a really interesting conversation that I think is worth listening to. And then we return to the world of anime with Vinland Saga up to episode 18 and some drama surrounding Moshuko Tensai. Thank you for listening. Enjoy. Oh, hey, Grant.
Hey, Dave.
How you doing?
I'm good.
You know what that was?
What was that?
That was a Guinness.
Oh! Oh, my favorite.
Man, one of the guys is a big fan of these. And, well, I'm going to give it a try and see how it goes. I mean, I've obviously had them before. I just can't remember the last time I bought Guinness. You know what I mean?
Well, chili nights. I usually put Guinness in my chili. Man, I thought you meant like cold nights. But yeah, when you're eating chili? Yeah.
Cook a chili?
Yeah. I like to put a little bit of there. Half a can or whatnot, sometimes more. But
really?
You know what's good with it? So it's so strange. I remember when a couple years ago when it was my small stint living in Alberta. I had never heard of it prior, but there's like this big Guinness like mixing thing out there at the time. I don't know if it was maybe like across, I don't know if it was popular everywhere, and like I was just
you
there
when a light beer and a dark beer.
Well, there's that, but like you would go, and I remember I saw someone at a table next to me one time, and it was half Red Bull and half Guinness. And I was like, "Are you for real drinking that?" And the girl was like, "Yeah, it's surprisingly good." And I was like, "Okay, well that's way too expensive to buy at a bar. Like it was like $15 a pint." And so I made it at home, and it was surprisingly good. And it's good. It's good with cider too. I like doing a little bit of cider and a little bit of Guinness.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've done the light beer on top, or is it on bottom? I don't know. I can't remember. And like because of the weight, like there's like actual... They
separate, yeah.
Yeah, kind of neat.
Yeah, that's what it does. Like you'll get like the cider on the bottom and the Guinness up top.
Yeah, kind of neat.
Good shit.
It's weird, like how it's not carbonated.
Yeah.
It's hard to get used to that.
Sure.
But
it's creamy. It's like It's like bread.
Yeah. Oh my god. Do you remember that time I went to that bar and I had that? Was it a double chocolate milk stout? I had 2 of them.
Oh,
and then,
yes.
And then we got a little peckish. So I was like, oh, I'd like something light, and we got a lobster puts in. Oh, God.
Was that? No, that was after a movie.
After a movie, that bar shut down.
No, it didn't. Beer house?
COVID, man. I know. They were there for over a decade.
Oh no!
So many of them down here.
That actually
R.I.P.
chops my ass. Yeah. That's really shitty.
Yeah, big time.
Fuck, man. I got to Leanna that. Actually, you know what? Leanna didn't like it there.
Wow. Typical.
I don't know. No. It was, anyways, but that's a bummer. Fuck, man, COVID.
I'm hearing that it's been rough on some businesses. I don't know if I believe that, but whatever. Do you want to start with the heavy? You want to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen?
Yeah, let's dive right into it.
You've wrapped up, right?
I have wrapped up, yeah.
Yeah, I
feel enlightened. I'm floating right now. I've been floating ever since.
It's like I'm a whole new person. I almost binged through it just for this podcast.
Sure.
But I figure, we can talk about
if you feel like you have to binge it, it's not the right move.
Well, I actually wanted to ask your opinion on this because I have felt this way as of late, where when you discover something so good and it's like finite, you don't want to do it all in one go.
Sure.
Like I oddly enough, I can relate this to specifically like good food and good drinks. Like you ever buy like really expensive I don't fucking know, like a steak or a cocktail.
Yeah.
Or a cocktail is even more appropriate for me because you buy this and you're like, oh my god, this is so good, I could just drink this all immediately.
Yeah.
But then now you've just drank like a 15 or whatever it is dollar drink in like a minute.
Yeah.
And you don't really feel like you got your money's worth.
Sure.
That's how I feel with Jujutsu Kaisen right now. Like, I could kill this in a day.
Yeah.
But I love it so much. And it's like, I'm so into it. I kind of have really been enjoying watching one every night before bed.
Yeah.
But I got through, I must have watched 5 or 6 on Sunday.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So you must be close, because you were at, like, what, 16?
Yeah, I've got 2 left. 23 and 24. So yeah, I went through them.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And I think I've just entered like what will be, obviously spoilers ahead for anybody listening.
Yeah. Oh, those are good episodes, Dave.
Yeah, I imagine I've just entered like the very last battle arc mini, whatever sets up maybe season 2 or who knows what.
It's a good, it's, well, I'm just trying to think how the last episode ended for you.
The last episode ended with Itadori, Megami, and the girl going under the bridge to exorcise this demon that has been demon curse that has been killing people, but then a second curse arrives that was sent by Patchwork Face Fellow.
Yes.
So the 2 of them are there, 2 curses and the 3 amigos. Yeah.
Nobara.
Nobara,
like
Jesus, yeah.
I really like her. She's probably my favorite out of the crew.
Yeah, I like her a lot. I think maybe it's potential that I've seen like some mild spoilers, but probably nothing crazy. I'm not also super fussed about it. Spoilers are different when you're tearing through something.
Sure.
Versus, waiting 6 months for Avengers Endgame or something like that, or like a week to week.
Yeah. A finite experience, or like a spectacle experience versus like, lots of, like an ongoing thing. Yeah, I could see that. But no, she just the last 2 episodes, like, it's not, I'm not going to spoil anything, but like it's a very powerful way to end the season, I found.
Really?
And it was a good, yeah, it was, it's a battle shonen, right? That's what the show is. And they find a way, the fluidity of this show is its defining features, how they can make these moments not necessarily explosive like some shows do. It's about, it shows them like becoming zen and like kind of flowing through their attacks and all this and that, and just it's different, right? It almost has a different philosophy than like Dragon Ball, where it's like, at 1,000%, or like something like JoJo, like, which I haven't watched, but like I understand it's all very fast paced and kind of breakneck speed. And this show has elements of that, but it's nice they can take the time to slow it down. But yeah, no, the baseball episode though, Dave.
Dude,
fucking hilarious.
Dude, it's good. It's really good. And I had a special note to mention this to you. It might only be the second best filler baseball episode in anime.
Oh.
Dude, there's one about 3/4 of the way through Dragon Ball Super.
Okay.
It's just 30 minutes of straight baseball. And it is so goddamn funny. Like, but it's funny for the same reasons, right? Because like people take it too seriously. It's very self-referential.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. Yeah, I loved that episode.
When one of the characters would go up to bat, it would just just like the little, like, the comments they would show, like, just, this person likes this, that person hates that.
Oh my god, the playing cards, yeah, like
yeah,
the bios,
yeah,
like, dude, those were so funny. But I think what got me into binge mode is I think I must have. That day must have been, mid-class exchange fight.
Okay.
As Itadori was becoming friends with Todo.
Oh.
And then it goes all through their fight with that special grade curse. Does it have a name? The one that speaks backwards?
Hanami, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
Is this the Black Flash episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole thing, like, the Black Flash episode, Toto's quirk being used super aggressively, the clapping. Yeah. Man, that was so innovative. That was such great animation. That was such good battle shonen shit.
Yeah.
It's so much my fucking jam. Gojo showing up at the end looking like a fucking god. Like,
oh, yeah. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is...
Yeah.
I get the hype. How often is something so fucking hyped up in something that's in our wheelhouse and in our realm, and you're like, yeah, like I know it's big, da da da, but like you watch it and you're like, holy fuck.
It's
like,
tricky, man, because everything has been done in a sense, right? Like, when someone tells you, oh, here's a great isekai, you think of all the other isekais you've seen. Or when someone says, oh, it's like the next new shonen, it's like, yeah, but I've also seen some amazing shonen.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's hard for something to kick the door in on your expectations and all these experiences you've had.
Mm-hmm.
And, let's also be real. Like, a lot of these tropes and, like, moments aren't 100% original.
No, absolutely
They're just
not.
amazing. You know what I mean? Like, they're just so good. Like,
it's just their execution of that. A lot of the stuff is reusable, like across the industry. Like,
it's almost like, if you watch like Kill Bill, it's like, okay, well, Tarantino is so incredibly, obviously, like paying homage and like this is incredibly inspired by both westerns and kung fu movies, but mostly kung fu movies.
Yeah,
they're just like Americanized.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, but so you could be a pessimist and be like, oh, so if you've seen kung movies, this is like just kind of an inspired by version. It's like, no, this is like this bigger than life, like giant weird experience that's like the culmination of this guy's experiences with kung fu movies.
Mm-hmm.
And Jujutsu Kaisen is kind of like shonen shows produced this shonen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was so killer, man. I loved that whole fucking thing. That ending with Gojo, that everything leading up to that.
Yeah.
It was killer. It was killer. The sister fight, the Toto stuff.
Oh yeah.
The Toto stuff got me. I was like, this is like the best of the whole show.
The biggest standout was probably like, like in looking back, like the first fight with like, Megumi and Itadori, when like as the curse is post like the curse being eaten and all that. It's actually, now I'm trying to think if this, I don't want to spoil ahead.
You don't do any spoil.
No, just the because there seems to be a fascination with Megumi from Sukuna. So I'm curious where that goes. That's referenced a couple times through the season. It's like, I think after that first dimension fight where they go into, I think it's Sukuna versus Megumi, momentary, obviously. And then I think
beats the shit out of him.
Yeah, beats the shit out of him. And so there's like, they brought up a couple, I'm really curious because that's not touched too much in the next two episodes, if at all. But like, obviously that's something they've set up going forward. So that's interesting. But just, they also did like a very, like, they softly touched on, they're setting up these families, like the hierarchy of the schools.
Yeah, the
clans. So that's going to be something going forward. So, and it wasn't over the head. It was just kind of like, here's the thing. They've set up some characters. There's some politics, not the politics we've been dealing with. So, everything is presented like very piecemeal, and it'll be easy to pick up like next season kind of thing. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay, so that's me. That's up to episode 22. I'm loving it. I feel like they've set themselves up for a pretty good finale. I've heard, it's hard not to, like the thumbnails all over YouTube, because I've become a monster of React videos, which we've talked about at length. I don't want to talk about it anymore. But yeah, it's like all the thumbnails are like, now this is how you end a season. So I'm sure it's good. So where do you sit, spoiler free? How do you feel about it in retrospect?
In retrospect?
Yeah, now that it's behind you, you've experienced it like a fine wine or tab of LSD.
It's not often you get to experience the ground floor of a show very often.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's, like you're mind you, like we're a couple months late, but like for, in the grand scheme, like we're still the first season, we're here, like we're finished more or less. And I now feel like I'm a part of a club that's going to be excited each week. I think the show is, is going to have a great lasting legacy. Like it gives me Demon Slayer vibes, like, where the hype is actually backed up for once in something. And we're big anime fans, but like, it's not often where a show can truly have a lasting legacy. And a lot of the time it's not in the first season that sets up the legacy. It's usually like it catches its stride. This show just came out swinging, Dave. Like I love this, and it's everything that we love. It's good comedy, it's believable comedy, it's the action is it's not like quick cuts. You're in the thick of it in these fights. It's not just and that's always been my problem with Dragon Ball. It was too fast. So I don't know. I need to rewatch it. Like I'm already planning my next rewatch on my holidays, and just I think I do have a bit of a problem right now because I'm watching multiple shows that are very like
that feel
high bar.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I was watching one at a time, I would be able to process it individually a little more and find the little extra things in it. I'm just juggling a lot right now, and we're going to be talking about all those like this episode or this week, but it's great shit, and I do think you and I should sit down and have like at least another conversation once we're both done and just talk about favorite moments and all that, because there is a lot of stuff to talk about for the show.
I'm super down. I'll probably end up wrapping up season 1 this week. Well, the only season. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, but I'm very stoked. Actually, a quick piece of trivia, anime trivia facts for you. These are not super fun. Like they're not like the kind of trivia that we had on Attack on Titan when we were covering that. But it's voice actor trivia.
Okay.
And this is specifically interesting for you and I because there are 5 voice actors on Jujutsu Kaisen that are also active characters on My Hero Academia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I would be like, okay.
Do you have them in front of you?
I've got them all in front of me. You can try guessing if you want. The problem is obvious, right? My Hero Academia has a cast of, I think it's 250 characters.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding, but it's an obscene amount. Gojo Satoru. Do you have any guesses?
Gojo.
You can guess, or I can just read them all off if you want.
All right, let me give it a guess at Gojo. Is it a student or a teacher?
Pro hero.
Pro hero.
You're never gonna get it.
Never.
Hawks.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
You might get this one. Sukuna also voices a pretty frequent teacher on My Hero. Yep.
Yeah.
Well done.
For sure. Aizawa.
Nanami.
Okay.
Voices a past villain from My Hero Academia. And, I never would have guessed this.
Was it a past villain, like a dead villain? Or I guess that'd be a giveaway. I don't know. Was it that dude, like the Freakazoid one that got bigger with the little... He was trying to kill the little kid?
Yep. Chisaki Overlord guy.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. He's also the voice of the house husband.
Really?
Yeah,
oh, wow.
which kills me.
Totally see that.
Yeah.
And then I forgot this guy's name. Inumaki, he's the cursed speech user.
Okay.
Is voiced on My Hero Academia by a pretty important character, the one we have not seen in quite some time. So I'll give you one quick stab if you want. But
an important character that we have not seen in quite some time.
Yeah, I know. It's very loose. Doesn't give you a lot.
Oh, would it be Shigaraki?
Yes, it is.
Is it really?
Yeah, Shigaraki. That's the last one.
Fuck.
Cool, eh?
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh, I love it. It's such a small industry.
It is. My favorite, anime weeb moment was while we were covering Attack on Titan, and I fucking picked it in the middle. It was episode 2 or 3. I think it was 2 of Attack on Titan season 4. Falco also voicing Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. I was
yes.
I just had it in my brain. I was like, no, the way this guy is it was just a certain registry hit with his voice, and I was like, I know that fucking voice, and I was like, I might watch too much anime.
Well, it was funny because the only modern anime at that point that Leanna had seen was Attack on Titan. Excuse me, pardon me, and we were watching the first episode of My Hero this season, and Leanna was, I think I've told this before, but Leanna was like, oh, that's Eren.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah. And then a couple seconds later, she was like, "Oh, that's," I can't remember who she said it was, but I was like, "Oh, that is for sure that person." But
that was a good pick. I remember that.
Yeah.
A little piece of trivia for you.
That was fun.
I watched something this week that I want to talk to you about, but I'll let you go first if you want to cover anything.
No, you go first. Yeah.
Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
I watched my very first Studio Ghibli film.
Oh, ever?
Ever.
What one?
Spirited Away.
Oh.
I've heard...
You went for the heavyweight.
Yeah, I've heard that. I was watching it with a lady, and like, she was like, "Okay, I've heard of this little indie film." She's like, "Apparently it's a big deal." I was like, "Apparently it is," but I'm not this diehard Studio Ghibli guy either. So like, we both went in being like, "Apparently this is a good movie."
Yeah.
Right. Like we didn't really have a lot. On it other than that, we didn't really know what to expect. And I think that the short review is that we both came out of it, keep in mind not being a huge anime fan, but we both came out of it and kind of looked at each other and be like, yeah, I think I understand why that thing's so fucking huge.
Yeah,
like,
powerful. Yeah.
And it's really hard. I was talking about this with somebody afterwards, or one of the guys. It's really hard to come into these movies 20 years late and still feel the hype. You know what I mean? Because it's hard to put things into perspective of the time that they came from.
It's so funny you say that, because I'll have a good follow-up conversation to this for like my next thing to talk about. But I know exactly what you're talking about. The distance between, it's like the first time I watched Taxi Driver. I
haven't seen it yet.
I was like, well, like without spoilers, but like it's regarded as one of the most influential movies of all time, just for like way it was shot and the grittiness and the subject matter, and it has various types of lasting legacies. But I remember watching it and I was like, oh, it's it's good and I get it. It's again, there's all these variables, right? It's age of originally watching it, and it's
the cinematic landscape at the time, the Star Wars, the original Star Wars films felt like such a special place in my heart, but I don't know if you showed them to me now if they would do the same thing. The context is so important. I remember I was on this binge mode of watching all these classics, and Taxi Driver was in there. I just haven't gotten to it yet. And one of them that I watched a year or two ago was the original Blade Runner. And I was like, yo, like it's completely and totally fine, and especially because then I watched Blade Runner 2049. I was like, holy shit, like now that's a fucking movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the original Blade Runner, for so many people, I understand it influenced a lot of things. There are certain things that, like, this whole cyberpunk piece of cinema that just hadn't really been done in that specific way before, and they touched on like the AI stuff, which was like fun and it was sexy. But how many movies did that inspire that I've seen?
Thousands.
That you can kind of predict the plot a mile away. Like, I get it, it's dark and grungy, but like, yeah, man, I walked out of Blade Runner the original being like, yeah, that was like a 6. Sure. You know what I mean? I just it wasn't the right movie for me at the right time.
Absolutely. It's like you said, the context of like the mood. That's the thing too, the mood you're in. Like, you can say, hey, let's watch a movie tonight. Yeah. And then you get to the time to watch the movie and you're like, ah, fuck, I cannot swing that right now. Like, it's just, you gotta be,
you gotta be receptive
and
so much about it is like the context of your experience with that movie.
That's
now,
why
I was just gonna say, with regards to Spirited Away, it still worked. Yeah. I was still like, yeah, okay, I get it. This is kind of beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, I understand what the hype is about. I understand the influence, the music, for God's sakes.
I haven't seen that since it was first like at home release.
Oh, wow.
That was, so like 2002, 2001. Yeah.
Pretty beautiful,
20
man.
years. Yeah.
Pretty dang good.
That's the one I'm slowly trying to warm up to, that one with with the Fam Jam, because that one it's got some pretty heavy themes, and My Neighbor Totoro is fucking on a lot here.
Oh really? I was gonna text you and be like, what do you think I should start with, but like I had it queued up, and we were just both kind of instantly in after watching a couple trailers. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just diving in. But for the next Studio Ghibli, do you think I should try that one?
So, see, I'm the general consensus is like Totoro is probably like one of the betters, and I understand it's good, but I don't think it comes close to a lot of the other stuff, in my opinion. I think the like the merchandising power, the lasting power of merchandising for that movie is what kind of has carried the legacy, I think.
Totoro?
A lot more. Totoro, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I like I said, I don't think it's as great as like I think Ponyo is one, the top 3 Ghibli movies, and I think a lot of people would probably heavily disagree with me on that. It's just personal preference, but I think Totoro is big enough. And
try Totoro. Anything
Ponyo,
else?
I really like Ponyo. Porco Rosso is really good.
Okay.
And actually, you know what? Probably Howl's Moving Castle.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that like there was a big deal a couple of years back where they all got put on Netflix, eh? So
just recently.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this year. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
or I guess 2020.
Where we watched it, but okay. Well, they're all accessible now, so I'll try one of them.
There's no reason not to watch them.
Actually, you know what?
Masterpieces.
I'm away at a cottage this week. That'd be a good one. Maybe just download a couple of those movies on the way.
Yeah, laid
or
back.
For the chill at Chopa at campfire. Put that on. Okay. Anyway, hit me up. What you got, boy?
Well, just in the I guess in the context of something with historically is known to be a good thing. I am almost caught up on Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Really? Well, when you say caught up, you mean like finished the original?
Well, so the problem I've had was when I think I've talked about it on the show a couple times now. I had originally watched it maybe a year or two ago. Or actually when it was first brought to Netflix, because that was a big deal.
You kept getting to like episode 9.
It was episode 9, and I had stopped and just whatever, had got caught up. And I said, a couple months ago, I said, I'm going to rewatch it. Fucking happened again. Got stuck on episode 9.
That's so funny.
But I had remembered it more this time. It was more recent in memory. And I just had a hungover Sunday. And I was like, all right, let's get weird. And let's watch Neon Genesis.
Let's get weird.
And I got weird, man. It was...
There's something about 90s anime, eh? Is that... I don't know if that's man. 90s or 80s.
Yeah, mid 90s, 95, I believe.
You can feel it when you turn it on.
Fuck, man.
So how'd it go?
I understand. So it's really interesting because like I know a lot of stuff has come before it. I know it's not the first majorly influential anime. I know that's not the case. Like Gundam was well before. Like there's a long history of like popular, like very big stuff in the 80s and even in the early 90s. But I think there's a reason this show stood out because I don't know, it's just it has, and again, I haven't watched much 90s or 80s anime, so like, I'm really not trying to talk on my ass when it comes to like the golden age of anime. But it's such a perfect time capsule
for that
of
moment.
The 90s, but it also it has like it's almost like it could be set at any time, right? Like it's so futuristic and it's so modern and it's so like in the past, and the show is fucking weird, man. Like I know I'm rambling at this point. I haven't got the wheels on the road yet, but it's so funny. I'm watching this. I see so many influences of this show in Attack on Titan.
Really?
Yeah, little thing, and I know it's the kaiju thing, and the mech thing, because that's Attack on Titan has a play, but a play on that. But I see little influences that, and I also see like this might have been one of the first. Again, I don't know, but like you see major Hollywood tropes, not tropes, but like visual cues in it. Like there's a whole episode. I think it's episode 14, and that's where the show really kicks into gear, is around like the episode 13 mark. Which I'm sure at the time people weren't like waiting on bated breath of like, oh, is this going to get better? Because it's good up until that point. But that's when the show, it's less about just the mechs, the robots fighting like the angels. It kind of becomes like more of a psychological story of like the characters and the working of the nerve, which is like the science division they work for and all they're a part of. There's an episode. It's like Jurassic Park.
Really?
They had this one random bottle episode, and it's a show from the fucking 90s, so I think I can spoil it a little more.
Yeah, hit me up.
So the whole show is at this point, we don't really know why the angels are attacking Earth.
Yeah, don't tell me.
No, I don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
so usually they come in the shape of like this, big, oddly shaped, morphed creature from space or wherever. They kind of just show up, and the angels are learning, and there's one where it becomes like a computer. It becomes like a virus. And it's them combating, it was like the scenes in Jurassic Park where they're trying to keep the raptors out, or they're trying to hack into the system, and they're trying to get from this place to that place to, prevent this and that. It was so tense, and it's just like the foresight. Like, I don't know. I can imagine someone watching this episode in like 95 and being like, someone had bootlegs, because like anime wasn't just on TV back then, I imagine. Someone had a bootleg from Japan. They had someone do the dub or the sub for it, and you were just like, "What the fuck?" Like, I could imagine teenagers smoking dope in their parents' basement, watching, this episode, and just being terrified. Like, it's.
Hey, quick technical question: are you watching sub or dub?
Sub, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure because I thought I wasn't sure if it was in that list of shows that was like had a good dub. Okay. Anyway, keep going.
It might. I don't know. I just always do the sub just by default.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really liking it, man, and it's you can tell at the time. I get the legacy. It's fucking weird, and it's only getting weirder as I'm getting close to the end. But it's I see so many shows that I've watched, like little moments of like, oh, they jacked that from Neon Genesis.
It's inspired by.
And it's all homage. It's not like stealing it or anything, but it's. I get it now, man.
That's interesting. It's interesting to hear you say that it's kind of a psychological thriller because it crops up on all these lists of like best animes ever, and people are often talking about how it has these central themes of like depression and psychology, and it's like
Catholic, like the heavy Catholicism themes are like jacking up.
Interesting. And I saw 5-6 episodes, and I was like, what? Like, I tuned out because it was like, shitty Gundam Wing. Like, now clearly I tuned out early as fuck.
Well, that's the thing, like it's, and I think notoriously the last 2 episodes of the season, there was controversy of like the creator just like at the last minute was like, change of plans, we're redoing all this, and it went like heavy religion themes. I know that much. Because it's a lot. It's hard not to have read stuff over the years. Because I remember, like, there was a time where no one thought you'd be able to get your hands on the show legally.
Yeah,
it was very hard to get.
It was a big pick when it came over, eh?
Exactly. So it was just one of those shows. I had like a rough idea. I had watched a couple. Do you remember? I think there's still a YouTube channel, but Wisecrack. Yeah, they had a video on Neon Genesis. I watched the whole thing. It was years ago, so I forgot really what had gone or taken place in the video, but. It's, I don't know, there's something special and unique and of the time, but also like timeless. And I think I don't know if that was the plan because it's based on a manga obviously, but once they get past the kaiju stuff and like it doesn't go away. But when it gets to the crux of what it is to be like a human and whether we're real and it's hard to watch like because I'm not religious and I'm really not trying to make anything about that, but like I wasn't raised that way, but it's interesting to read about it, and sometimes it's either too underhanded or it's too overhanded, and this is kind of just in the middle enough to make it interesting, but I know it's about to go off the rails with the religion stuff, so I know it's going to be like very obvious soon because that's just how the show ended, and then there's the movie to follow it up afterwards, which I'm excited. But
interesting.
Yeah,
well,
it's
I'll have to get around to that. I'm excited. I'm gonna wait for your review of the whole first the season.
Yeah.
And then we'll see.
But it was one of, like I couldn't stop. I just kept watching and watching and watching, and it's very thought provoking. It's weird though. Like
how close to the end are you now?
I think I got 4 episodes left.
Oh fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like, so because that's the thing too. There's like. It's not necessarily arcs because it's kind of like the same story throughout, but I think like till episode 12 it's like pretty much standard kaiju stuff. They tease a couple things, and then from like 13 to 19 is you're finding about the inner politics of how like the corporation works, and this is where like the themes of depression and the psychological stuff starts kicking into place. And then from episode 20 it starts becoming like surrealist, and because I think I finished 20, I'm about to start 21. It just becomes like surrealism, and like heavy religious themes are coming in, specifically Catholicism. Yeah, it's a trip, man. I bet you like in the 90s people were scared and they were like burning CDs and like this. I bet you if parents caught their kids watching this shit, they would have went fucking wild.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, very. I'm sure. What is it? Sacrilegious.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm enjoying it, man.
All right. Yeah. Well, you've done a good sales pitch, so I'm gonna wait for you to wrap up on that show, and then we'll see if it's like if it's something I watch next. But it's on all those lists for a good reason, I'm sure. Controversy or not, I mean, I've even seen people say that Attack on Titan has controversial themes right now, just because of the fact that like they're treading on a couple things that are potentially uncomfortable.
And I think that's why I think Attack on Titan owes so much to this show and this manga, is because like they're not afraid to like talk about these things. Yeah. And they somehow intertwine it well into like a sci-fi story, It
makes me think, I don't know whose quote this is, but Robert Downey Jr. was on a podcast recently. Okay. And I heard him say, he's like, well, it's like that old quote, art is to comfort the disturbed and to disturb the comfortable. Which is like a very weird and interesting thing for him to say, having played Iron Man for so long. But it's like, you can kind of see it, right? Because he's kind of a fucking crazy person. But
sure, they all are.
Yeah, but I could understand why if you looked at Attack on Titan and a lot of these things a certain way, you might consider it disturbing, or you might consider it a little bit weird. But like to a lot of people, I think it's just interesting to have these types of conversations. Okay, Neon Genesis, I'll check it out. Just briefly while we're on that theme, but I'm realizing this may mean nothing to you. On old anime, Cowboy Bebop. You hear they're doing a live action for that?
Yeah. Oh, there's a couple articles making the rounds right now about that. Well, the soundtrack.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Oh, okay.
It's a big thing about Cowboy Bebop. It's like how fond people are of its soundtrack, which I think is like good. I don't know if it blew my head off at the time, but I watched it years ago. I'm probably due for a rewatch. But yeah, they're doing a live action. I think it's with Stephen Young, actually, isn't it?
No, it's he was in Star Trek.
Fuck. Stop Asian hate. It was the other guy.
He was in Harold and Kumar.
Dude, it's Harold, yeah. I forget his name.
Why am I blanking on his name?
Yeah, no. I forgot.
He's good.
Yeah, he was good in the Star Trek movies. He's been in a bunch of shit.
Yeah,
but like that like thing, that show got like Taika Waititi was supposed to be involved at one point, and then he like left it. Or no, he was gonna do Akira live action.
Which I want to watch that.
Well,
I think I'm due. After watching Neon Genesis, I think I'm fucking due to go back to anime school and watch some classics.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem is no one can name one good live action anime adaptation.
I really want to have a sit down with you and watch the Attack on Titan one.
Oh, the live action movie?
Yeah,
I don't want to do that.
No, I do. I want to do it so bad. Yeah, just a
Dude, I've seen footage.
And a pizza and Attack on Titan, the first movie, for sure.
I mean, like, if we can get, like, drunk doing it, like, turn it into a game. Because I saw the Corridor Crew people kind of look at it, and it did not look good.
No, I know it's not.
They as a sidebar, I had this in my notes. The Corridor Crew people also had the VFX guy on from The Mandalorian.
Oh.
To talk about all types of cool shots that they got in The Mandalorian. So that's on YouTube. Definitely check that out, because I know that The Mandalorian, I haven't even seen season 2 yet, but
it's good, man.
I know that even in season 1 and 2, they pioneered a bunch of shit as far as VFX goes.
Well, they have that really special set. No?
Yeah, the set with the screen and all that stuff, and they get right into it. And they talk all about details and whatnot. So yeah, that was pretty cool. So yeah, Cowboy Bebop is getting the same soundtrack, or the same creator, of the original soundtrack is returning for the live action series, to be very clear. Yeah, I don't have a ton else other than you sent me a badass movie trailer recently.
Which one was that?
America, the motion picture.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a show.
Oh, fuck, I hope so.
Yeah, I think that's a show. Channing Tatum.
I thought it was might have been a...
Like a one-off movie?
Yeah, I hope it's not.
That looks like a show, for sure.
Nice. Yeah, another Netflix anime, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Same, like, anime style as, like, a lot of the stuff that they do.
Looks like Archer.
Yeah, Archer, Castlevania.
Yeah.
Dude, that looks funny.
Yeah, I'll
Like,
definitely check that out.
Historical, satirical recounting of America's founding.
History?
Yeah.
Oh, founding. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get too into the weeds of it. I watched halfway through and I was like, I should probably see this when it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll definitely be worth watching. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I got a couple things.
Hit me up, bro.
I watched Bo Burnham's Inside.
Fuck, I'm like halfway through.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think we are both Bo Burnham fans. I don't know, are we?
Well, so, like...
You don't like his stupid face.
No, I like Bo Burnham. I'm not, like, I think you and I have talked in the past. I'm not super huge into stand-up comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Fortunately, he's, like, the most non-traditional stand-up comic.
I think that's, because, like, the comedians that come to mind, like, I really like Mike Birbiglia. And, he's more... I tend to like...
That's such a you.
No, I know. I tend to like more like the storytellers and like the deviations from, standard comedy. Like, I like Dave Chappelle.
You mean the greatest comedian of all time?
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying.
He's
the point I'm
okay.
making is like he's okay. But like the point I'm trying to make is like I do like the traditional stuff as well, but like I can't. There's just too much of it, and so much of it, in my opinion, is just not good. It's hard to.
Have you tried Tom Segura?
I haven't, honestly. Yeah. No.
He's got one a special called Mostly Stories on Netflix that is might be up your alley. But anyway, Bo Burnham.
Yeah. So Dave, what a wow.
What an artistic endeavor.
Honestly, good for him. Like technically very impressive to do that all by himself. Like he knows he understands the composition of how to like present, but like I've been humming white woman
Instagram
nonstop. Like I watched those all weekend. I was like, white woman. Like,
dude, do you remember, I don't know if you I don't even know if we've ever talked about this. Like, have you seen his original YouTube videos from a decade ago?
No, this was the first thing I've ever seen by him. I've seen him in other stuff.
That's crazy.
I've seen him in interviews, and I've seen like the odd clip of him. Oh my god! But yeah,
now that's something you got to go through, because this is what's crazy is you've got, I can't name one. Well, Logan Paul. We'll come back to that. You've got some YouTubers who, started on YouTube and then like they managed to cross over to Hollywood.
Sure.
But a lot of the time, they've been at it for a really long time. Bo Burnham may have created a dozen satirical songs on YouTube. And this was, over a decade ago. Yeah. Where viral meant, 5 to 10 million. Now viral means 10, 20, over 100 million plus. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So he went viral, but it wasn't nearly as viral as today is. And then so he did, let's say, a dozen satirical songs, and they are incredible. Yeah. And he's maybe 15.
Sure.
Younger probably, and yeah, they crush. And then I ended up hearing, okay, he's doing stand-up. He's doing these weird stand-up shows that are super non-traditional. Stand-up comics don't like them because, like, they're not real stand-up. It's, like, more of, like, a performative thing.
Oh, my God.
It's fucking so then I watched, and it's not, like, quote, stand-up, but it's, like, it's Bo Burnham. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's him, and he does jokes, and then he loops in music throughout the show. His other, they're all very, very good. But when it really hit for me is when he did Grade 8.
I never saw that. I
didn't even see it either. It's just that I didn't understand that you go from, let's say, a dozen YouTube videos to 2 Netflix specials to an Oscar-nominated film in your directorial debut.
Sure.
Like, his career path is just fucking wonky. You know what I mean? Like, people just tend to pay their dues more. Like, I'm not saying that... I'm not saying that, like, he didn't. I just mean, it's just weird to me. Maybe I'm missing, like, 5 years of IMDb for him, and, like, maybe he's just been, like, you know, writing shitty TV pilots for a long time or something. But it just seems like the guy doesn't miss, is, I guess, my point.
No, well, it's, I don't know, it just, this whole thing, like, it honestly felt special when I watched it, you know, like, just a peek into another, like, a true peek into someone else's psyche is a very rare thing, where, and, you know, the arguments can be made that, it, you know, it's a controlled environment, but a lot of that seemed incredibly genuine, the good and the bad.
Oh, yeah.
And the man clearly has, you know, and, like, I'm not saying, like, it's a bad thing. He has mental health issues.
Oh, yeah.
It's evident, and when you watch this, but, like, it's kind of brave, you know, and it sends a good message of being able to, like, show that side of yourself to the world. I think it's a good message. And at the same time, you can write some fucking scathing songs of just the fucked upness of the world, and, you know, it was very good, man. Like, you know, I genuinely didn't believe there was any misses. The fact that he did this all by himself, you know, obviously, like, you know, he had the money and the power to collect the gear that he needed to do so, but, like, kudos to him, man. It was really something. I really enjoyed it. I'm planning on watching it again.
Yeah, I would say, you know, like I said, I'm halfway through, and already, like, big achievement technically. You know, the cinematography.
What was the last, like, skit or song you heard?
I watched him do White Woman. I watched him do FaceTiming with my mom, which I loved.
Yeah.
And then...
That was the beginning, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so it might have been tail end.
Did you see Sexting?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
So I saw, you know, it was like zooming out, and it was him lying on the floor in a pile of cords. Yeah. All around him, and I was drifting off, so I was like, okay, I want to watch this with my full attention, so I turned it off at that point.
I had fallen asleep.
Yeah.
In I missed the last 20 minutes, then I watched it first thing when I woke up in the morning.
But man, some of the shots that he got in that White Woman bit, really, really good. Same with the other song, the mom one, like, just the cinematography and the editing. Yeah. And his messing with aspect ratios and shit.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh my god.
It's something, like, this is, you know, I think, you know, the argument of, you know, like you were saying earlier, like, comedians, like, consider this type of thing as not real comedy. And it's like, that's such an old guard, in my opinion, that's such an old guard, like, you're just, I think you're a little, what's the word? Like, you're being territorial, like, what you do as a living, and it's your livelihood, like, whatever. I get that.
No one gets to decide.
But this was a packaged, you know, original written thing, and, like, I love music, and those songs are good. Like, he has incredible composition.
Oh, big time.
And, you know, like, there's like, the big song hitting the rounds right now is Welcome to the Internet, which I think is going to be probably, like, between that and White Woman's Instagram, we're going to have, like, the longest staying power. Is, like, apparently it's going to Spotify this week. Nice. Or like, streaming services, sorry. Nice. You'll be able to buy it, and I think I might, like, if I can, I would buy the comedy album.
Nice.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like, it's a very dark message in a lot of ways. Oh, did you see the sock puppet thing?
No.
Oh,
maybe.
That might have been early. Yeah, I think that was early.
I think I did, but like I said, I have to go through it again. But, like, you know, just on that note, like, it's very clearly, like, an art piece. And I was listening to this because, you know, I'm, like, really into stand-up comedy and all that crap. And right now, like, the quote popular / brave thing to do in stand-up is to talk about, like, how brave you are for pushing the envelope. And, like, you know, it's a little tired. But I was listening to one
who says that? Give me a name. Who says that?
Dude, literally all of them. Like,
really?
Every LA comic on the planet. But, like, you know, obviously the thing in stand-up comedy right now is to push against cancel culture because they feel like they're under attack. And, you know, fine, I don't think we want to go down that whole rabbit hole right now, but the one thing that I will say is I was listening to this one comic, Whitney Cummings, who's you know, very successful outside of stand-up comedy as well. But she had just this whole thing, like, you know, and just said, listen, like, you know, you can feel like you're under attack, you can feel like you're not. I don't care. But her point was that comedy is a democracy. She's like, you don't get to decide what's funny because you've been doing this. You know, the audience gets to decide whether or not your joke is a miss.
Sure.
Now, obviously, you don't want to be crucified for missing, and I think that's what comics are afraid of right now. But that's a different type of issue. You know what I mean? I think that what I'm focused on is her point, which is comedy is a democracy, right? So because this guy isn't on stage reading off one-liners, doesn't mean that he's not a comic. You know what I mean? He's making people laugh. He's commenting on something that is appropriate to the time. I think she also, in that same podcast, had this whole thing about like how if you went back 20 years, a lot of those jokes that were told were probably not, they're probably not appropriate today because things have changed.
Sure.
But she says, like even Delirious, by that special. But if a stand-up comedy special is quality, it is probably a reflection of the time that it was made.
Sure.
And I think that I'm only 30 minutes into Bo Burnham's Inside, and it is it definitely feels incredibly topical. You know what I mean?
It's not like he's not waging war with like internet culture, but in a way he is. And it's
he's tapping into something that is front of mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that there's nothing wrong with that. And he's making light of it, and that's comedy. Like he's looking at the culture, he thinks it's kind of silly, but there's also like a lot of realism in there. I think it's being really well received, and I think like if we consider the whole comedy as a democracy thing, like I think that's the point.
Yeah.
Like, it's doing really well. I've had like, you're the third person to be like, oh, like this Bo Burnham thing, it's like different, but like, have you seen this thing yet? And like, it's all people who I know are not stand-up fanatics, right? And that's like a good thing.
Yeah,
because it's good for everything. Yeah. But I'm gonna finish that.
Right. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's one of those things that you definitely, for people that are super not into comedy, it's because it's a good bridge between like YouTube, the world of like the kids of YouTube, you know what I mean, like the people like the generation raised on it. Dude. And it might be a good message for them to see, because there's some
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's pretty much it.
I was just gonna say, you absolutely must see a couple of his original songs.
I'm gonna watch them tonight.
You have to check them out. I'm gonna send you one or two in particular. Like, back to what I was saying, like, I don't know if they would fly today, because he was like this when he was, this is the weird part, he was like this when he was like 14. Like, he was, you know what I mean?
Heightened.
He was just looking at things and taking jabs, and like, even at that age was big on wordplay. And it's like, and obviously musically gifted, they're all songs. They're all very, very good.
Which I like. I think, it's because I like Tim Minchin as well. Because he's similar like that. I think he does like a lot of piano stuff and whatnot. But
big time.
Yeah.
Other than that, do you have anything else?
We chugged along a little more with the Vinland Saga. We're on the tail end. We're on the tail end of that. Won't take too much more time.
No. But spoilers ahead. Tell me where you're at.
So the last thing we saw was...
Do you know what episode you're up to?
Yeah, I wrote it down. So the episode is Out of the Cradle. It's episode 18. It's Thorfinn and the Thorkel fight. But there's a couple things that happened along the way that I really like the last we talked was like Thorkel, like there's the whole like the forest fire situation. Askeladd was excuse me. Askeladd, that's so great. I apologize to anyone listening right now. I should be hitting the mute button. Okay. So like they got away with Prince Canute and just the whole like out of nowhere, the whole like the Welsh angle, like them escaping to Wales, and then the reveal of Askeladd being like half Welsh, and him slowly like as like a sleeper agent to take on the Danes, and how like he has disdain for the Danes.
Love that.
And so that was like, okay, like he's still a piece of shit, but I understand why he's so cruel everywhere he goes now. I guess he's actually, now that I think about it, he's been doing shitty stuff in England too. But even then, they're direct enemies to Wales. You know, so like he's kind of like this secret little warpath that everyone around him is kind of, you know, not aware of. So I thought that was kind of cool. He fucking, the way when he did Ragnar dirty and killed him, and then Ragnar was like, fuck you, dude. Like, you know, like, guess what? The king wants the prince dead. It was one of the best fuck you endings I've seen in a while.
That was good.
So that was really cool.
What is Canute up to at this point?
So the last thing we just saw, Canute just fucking like had a moment of God.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know, had like, or you know, like
achievement unlocked.
Yeah, achievement unlocked. Found his bearings, and he's now about to, like, you know, become a good man and wage wars that are only necessary. Very powerful speech on his part when he calms down. Is it the dude that always eats them, Bjorn?
The rage mushroom fellow.
Yeah, Bjorn. And he calms him down. But the moment he had that episode where he has a dream, and he just like has that moment to say like, Ragnar, like, you were my true father and all that, and like the love for one another, and just Dave's so powerful and so effective.
And that was like a big moment. I remember when that happened, like for myself, and also just like the internet. It was all the memes were like Canute unlocked.
But it's you know, the show is awesome, and this is another one where it was kind of the similar like the Jujutsu Kaisen problem, where there's so much heady stuff going on. It's not just a battle shonen. There's so much going on in the background if you want to look for it, and there's a lot of stuff up in the front. And you know, you have to. I need a rewatch. You know, it's just. I do think it's kind of by the numbers. Like, it's good, but it's by the numbers up until, I think, like episode 10, like where we spoke last week, that episode Ragnarok, where, you know, Askeladd, you know, they decide they're going to go get the prince, and they're going to, you know, take advantage of the situation. But just like the weaves, they're weaving through this show. It's not what I expected.
How many episodes are there in total?
I think there's 24. So we're almost done. We got about.
I'm excited to hear your thoughts on the ending.
Yeah,
I'd say it has a good ending. I don't know. I haven't heard or looked up anything recently as far as season 2 goes, but that must be coming close, or must be coming soon.
I've been trying to avoid it because I don't want an accidental spoiler for the end. But
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
We're really liking it, and there's been a couple like really. The Thorkel Thorfinn fight was really good, so that ended with Thorkel just absolute boot fucking Thorfinn like across the field.
Oh yes,
and
okay, so
he went flying through tree lines. So there's that, but just, you know, the respect that you know Thorkel has for him, and like, you know, they're all laughing at him, and he crushes one of his own men's heads, and just the whole like Askeladd's men turning on him and all that, and him throwing down with them to the very end. It was just really, really good stuff.
Yeah, Askeladd, Thorkel, Thorfinn, they all have some fun stuff.
Yeah,
either, you know, stuff you've just passed or coming up, but you know, there's lots more for these characters to do in these last few episodes. It's very fun. Yeah.
I'm excited to finish. Like I said, I'm probably going to be doing a rewatch of this sooner than later. There's a lot goes on that
rewatch king.
Yeah, boy.
Have you heard of Moshuko Tensai?
Oh, is this Jobless Reincarnation?
Yeah, how'd you know that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Fucking dork.
I've been hearing a lot about that.
One of our listeners,
two.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
Warmed my heart.
One of the 2 listeners. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, somebody hit us up and they're like, "Yo, check out Moshuko Tensai." So I checked out the trailer. I will probably check out the pilot for next week's post show.
The show almost got, like, the community almost canceled this fucking thing.
Really? Tell me
why. So from what I've assessed, because, you know, I've watched a couple of videos, like, you know, we had our top 10 conversation last week of the respective top 10 list, and it's been on there. And, but it's an isekai. The guy goes back, but he wakes up in the body of, like, a baby. But he's like the mind of like a grown pervy man, I think.
That's what the trailer shows, yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple some
Oh,
pretty.
do they tread some weird lines?
I think they tread some pretty weird fucking lines in the show, and I think
anime doesn't do that enough.
no, but apparently like some lines are crossed.
Oh, really?
As well, and I think like some areas of the community thought that was like a step too far, you know, and it's
well,
like
I'm just curious.
But it's out there from what I saw. But
interesting. Okay,
but apparently,
I didn't know any of that.
But apparently everything outside of that is like S tier, like very good. So, you know,
really?
it's one of those things like, you know, do you just like I'm trying to think of a show that like, well, okay, like Fire Force. Right? I don't know. Okay, I don't think it's
kidding.
to that extent, you know, but I was able to kind of just like, okay, I get
you can
it.
brush past it in a lot of
it's
cases,
like this
right?
is the genre, this is popular in certain areas, and that's fine. I'm in it for the other stuff. So I think if a show is like a fraction lower than that, I think I can wrap my head around
So,
it. The thing is, I don't think it's on Crunchyroll.
No, I don't think it is either. I wanted to ask you about this and I'll keep this brief because I watched the trailer and I noticed one thing that I don't think I had put together until recently, and I don't know if it's an isekai thing or an anime trope that I just haven't noticed until recently, but in the Moshuko Tensai trailer, they have this whole thing where the guy talks about how regular he was in normal life. Oh, you know, I was just this regular average. They always say virgin. Like, they go out of their way to say virgin.
Yeah.
Regular, average, virgin, gross, dude. And now I get the chance. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's a new thing. And then I thought about it, and I realized, like, it's kind of similar to a lot of shit I've seen. Like, I'm thinking, like, Tokyo Revengers, like, the intro before he goes back in time. That's in, like, the first 5 minutes of the pilot. It's in the trailer. Give me a break. Same deal. He's talking about how he's, like, a douchebag, virgin, loser, and then, like, a cool thing happens to him, right? I think the same thing happens in Overlord. He talks about how in real life, which also didn't hit for me, he talks about in real life, like, his life ain't that great. But then, you know what I mean? I don't know what this is. I don't know if, like, they're hoping or playing on the fact that, like, maybe their audience feels the way that way about themselves. I don't know what that is, but I'll tell you what, Grant, I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like it at all.
No.
Like, you can have a shonen or an isekai without being like, oh, real life is awful. Like, I don't know what this is about, but I think it's come up a few times now.
But isekai it's about escapism.
Oh.
Right?
It's specifically
I think that's what the genre, the crux of the genre is about, like, being away from ordinary regular life than that. Because, you know, like, obviously, like, this, you know, we're a Western country, but this is a lot of the stuff is made in mind for, you know, Japanese culture or, like, you know, Japanese fans. And look how notorious and known, like, the 9-to-5 grind is for them over there. You know,
bunch
it's hard
of virgins.
Apparently,
I'm kidding.
You know, you know, but like,
I think he even said it at the beginning of season 1 of ReZero. He was like, "Oh, like, you know," I think he says something about, like, I only watched the first episode, but
yeah, but I think he's also like he's a teenager,
something like that. Yeah.
So like, you know, I think it's a little more,
okay, fair enough.
You know, but I think he just wasn't doing anything with his life. He was kind of a failure, was like a high school dropout kind of thing, but you know. I think, you know, it's specifically made for, like, you know, all audiences, but, like, a lot of people here too. Like, it's not just Japan. Like, how many people do you know, like, just have to grind it out, you know, and all they have is the little reprieve they have in the day is going
I understand the
and hiding in the world. So, but
escapism.
You know, but they're just hitting it home. The point of, like, this is for you, you know, like, and then it tends to be a genre that's a little horny, and they really gotta hit home the virgin thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like that. But anyway, that is not to say it doesn't have the potential to be a good show. I think I'm gonna try the pilot anyway because, like you said, it's, you know, I didn't know about the cancelable offenses that are, like, the weird.
Yeah, I guess it's out there, man.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I kind of want, like, that's the problem when you tell me, like,
curiosity.
Like, a line's been crossed. It's like, really, which line? How'd they do it? Is it? Did it work?
You're constantly gonna be watching. You're like, is this the line? Is this the line?
But yeah, I think I'll try the pilot. You know, like you said, I hear it's doing very well, so we'll try that. That's about all I've got for this week, though.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right, man. This was fun. Thank you guys for listening. We do this same time every week. Otherwise, we're covering My Hero Academia Season 5, which I think is probably drawing to a close, though we're not 100% sure on that. So stay tuned. And thank you for listening to the post show.
Thanks,
See you
guys.
next week. Cheers.